It's an annoying truth that some purchases, while they might be mandatory or important, the best case scenario for you is that they're a giant waste of your money. Think insurance, like homeowners or auto. You've got to have them, but you hope you never use them. And for me, dash cams fall into that insurance category. While they're not mandatory, I like to have them around. And until recently, in my opinion, they also fell into that category of hoping to never need them. And for sure, I never want to have to use my bike dash cam for its primary intended purpose. But with some changes that have been made to the new Cyclist Fly6 Pro, it's got some other uses. Stick around and let's talk about it. If you're wondering why I'm talking about a dash cam while riding a bike, this is the Cyclist Fly6 Pro. I've been riding with cyclists on my bike for as long as I can remember. I really don't feel comfortable riding without full coverage, front and rear. There's just too many terrible drivers out there making too many terrible decisions. And yeah, the camera probably isn't going to save my life, but it does provide some peace of mind that if something does happen, I'll have a reasonable degree of certainty that we'll be able to pull license plates from any car that may have been involved in what just happened. By far the biggest complaint that I and everyone else has had with the cyclic cameras is battery life. They've always been way better than something like a GoPro in terms of battery life, but historically they've never lasted long enough for a long endurance ride. When I got hit by a car last July, we had already been out for over 5.5 hours, and the longest my Fly 12 has ever lasted is something like 3.5, maybe 4. So there was zero chance that it was going to record the accident. Cyclic have heard this complaint loud and clear, and they've decided to do something about it. And to prove that point, they've been kind enough to send me over their latest Fly6 Pro rear camera for review. Full disclosure, I do get to keep this. It is for a review, but they don't have any input as to what I say, and they don't get to see the video ahead of time. And to further that, like I've said before, I've been riding with cyclic cameras for as long as I can remember. I had this one in my shopping cart, and I got the email about them sending one out to me before I clicked buy. So you can decide if you think I'm being biased. First things first, let's talk about what they actually sent. In the box you get, obviously, the camera, and you also get a tether and a basic mount that's got a Velcro strap with some kind of tacky, rubbery opposite side, so you don't scratch up your frame and so it doesn't slide around. That's what I'm currently using. Also included in what they sent me were some extra add-ons and goodies, some of which I can already recommend. Lens protectors, which have already come in handy. We'll get to that in a minute. A silicone case, and a saddle rail mount. I really wanted to make a saddle rail mount happen, but if you're like me and you have your saddle all the way forward on the seat post and you run a saddlebag, even with the included extension on the saddle rail mount, it's just not going to work. But that said, I've had absolutely no problem so far with the normal mount, which is what I've been using for years. And this one actually feels a bit upgraded. I don't think it's going to slide around. It definitely has improvement. So let's talk about what's actually changed. Quite a few things, but I think there are 3 big differences over previous generations of the Fly6. The first is what I alluded to earlier in battery life. Cyclists claim that you can get up to 7 hours of recording and light time on the factory settings, which are 1440p, 30 frames per second, and in my real life testing, they are pretty close. I got 6 hours, and I want to say 56 minutes, basically the 7 hours they were talking about. And like you, I'm not riding 7 hours, but that almost 7 hours of runtime was split up over a few days, on my commutes. I just turned the camera on day one with a full charge and rode in and back, in and back. And when it died, I just checked the timestamp of the last recorded video and saw that it was, like I said, almost 7 hours. You've probably seen other people do battery life testing just by turning the camera on and letting it run continuously in a studio with the camera on it until it dies. And I thought about doing that, but then I thought, no, because that's not how you're going to use the camera. You're going to use it outside, on your bike, riding to work, riding on group rides, whatever. It's been in the 50s in the morning here and like 105 degrees in the afternoon. So this thing has been in all sorts of temperature conditions and it's still got those battery results. Truly impressive. What makes it even more impressive though is that, like I said, that 7 hours is at the factory settings of 1440p 30 frames per second. For years, my cyclists have been running at 1080p. There's nothing wrong with HD, but sometimes when it's really sunny, particularly when the sun is coming directly into the lens, it can be pretty hard to read the license plate of a car, particularly if they're moving really fast. But the bump up to 1440p sure seems to make all the difference. Every license plate that I have seen so far has been crystal clear.
Future me here, quick update. I found the limits, I think, of the camera and its ability to pull license plates. Turns out when the sun is at a very low angle and shining directly into the lens, that it washes things out and it's really hard to read. I think this is down to the dynamic range. It's a pretty tall order for a camera to have that much light shining directly into the sensor and still be able to distinguish between highs and lows. So, unfortunately, if that's the case, then you're probably going to have a hard time. Other than that, though, everything's been really readable.
Which brings me to the second big difference, which is the video quality. Cyclists have included a host of different frame rates and resolutions for you to try, like 1080p 120, the standard 1440 30 frames per second, and all the way up to 4K 30 frames per second. Remember earlier when I said that dash cams used to fall solely into that insurance category for me, and that I hope that I never got to use them? Well, the video quality now is so good that I feel really fine using the Cyclist as B-roll for these videos. So if you're a racer or just someone who wants to record your rides for YouTube or for your own purposes, these things will do the job. And the final big difference, this thing is chunky. If you're a weight weenie, this may scare you a bit. But I'm like 180 pounds, so it doesn't bother me very much. It is not really adding a significant amount of weight to the bike. It is a tiny, tiny fraction of my body weight. Okay, I'm getting pretty close to work, and on my way home, I'm filming a video about when you should and should not use bike lanes, so you'll want to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you're notified when that comes out. But let's pick it up in the studio.
Me again. I want to clarify and expand on some things I said earlier. So the weight of the camera with the silicone case and leash is 169.4 grams. And I mentioned that the screen protectors have come in handy already, and that's true. My commute route has a whole lot of glass and debris. I think it was my very first ride with the camera, and it was already just completely covered in tubeless goo. Thankfully, it was just really easy to wipe off the lens covers. It probably would have been fine on the lens too, but tubeless sealant is abrasive. It's got stuff in it to help clog the holes. So I didn't want to be wiping that on the actual lens and scratching that all up. If the lens protector gets all scratched up, I can just replace it. So I would recommend those. The only other thing to talk about, and the elephant in the room here, is the price. As of filming this video, the regular price for the bundle, which includes the silicone case and screen protectors, is $386 US. It is currently on sale for $366, though I don't know how long that will last. You don't have to get high-vis yellow for your silicone case. You can actually get red or black. The bundle also includes a 64 gig micro SD card. Do you ride with these things? Do you have any questions about them? Drop a comment down below and I'll try to get to it in a follow-up video. But for now, let's go back outside to past me.
For more commute content, click just above my mirror. Have you ordered yours yet? But anyway, that's all for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.